think everybody has a voice, everybody has something to say, and everybody has a unique way of being within the world. And that creates an incredible world to be in. We weren't here to be kind of cookie cutter versions of somebody else. My name's Gabriella West. I own a company called Artscape, where I do art and wine exhibits all over Central Florida in unusual spaces. So I identify as a multicultural being. My mother was English, my father's Italian. I actually grew up in Italy until I was 7 years old. I lived on the Amalfi Coast as well as Milan. And when I was 7, my parents got divorced and we moved to London, which is where my mother was originally from. And I lived there and I studied there. I went to one of the top art colleges in London. And then 27 years ago, I actually moved to Central Florida, to Orlando. So I married an American, and that's how I ended up in Central Florida. So my now ex-husband and I, when we were living in London, and when we decided to move, we actually sold everything and we bought round the world tickets and we backpacked all over the world. We went throughout Asia and Australia and the Fiji Islands. We traveled for about a year and moved to Central Florida. When we got here, all we owned was what we had in our backpacks. And we went on to create a very successful business empire together. So I believe that our heritage shapes who we go on to become. A lot of our beliefs are formulated from a really early age. And a lot of that is to do with our heritage, what we're learning from our elders, from our parents, from the people around us, and whatever we're being exposed to in terms of the ideas. I had 2 very different backgrounds. So in Italy, people tend to be very expressive. They have very close family ties. And in England, where I moved to London, it's very multicultural. So I was exposed to lots of different cultures, which was wonderful. But people in England tend to be less expressive. They're far more reserved. And so I was learning these 2 very polar opposites of being, which was quite an interesting thing to experience. So it is a culture shock moving from one culture to the other. In fact, I couldn't speak English when I moved to England from Italy. I truly believe that we're all unique individuals and that we should be nurturing one another's uniqueness and the ability to be able to express that freely. So I think a lot of culture is really about the food. So the essence of a culture is captured within the food. So the way that I like to celebrate my heritage is really through food. We eat a lot of Italian food. My English culture, so basically I celebrate Christmas in the traditional Christmas way. The food that we eat at Christmas is a little bit different from the American traditional Christmas meal. So it is celebrated in the English way. We have roast potatoes instead of mashed potatoes. We have roast parsnips, and we have Yorkshire pudding, and we have different desserts as well. So as far as the Italian ones, really it's connected to my work and art because of the exposure to art in Italy and the fact that my father is an artist as well. So I was exposed to art from a really early age. That's very much celebrated within my home and within my work. I think it's changed a lot in the 27 years that I've been here. I think now it's much more culturally diverse, which I love. It's really become a big melting pot. And I think that's really important because we can each share different ideas from different backgrounds, and that makes our whole life experience much richer.